So, good morning, good morning. Welcome to More Life Inc. Studio Live. Now, this morning, before we get started, make sure you like, comment, and share this video. You see, today is a wonderful day. It's a Thursday morning. It's almost the end of the month, of course. And we can thank the Lord for the blessings that He has given us. And a lot of things have happened in society. Now, the first topic that I would like to talk about is the fact that, you know, the police force, right? Since now it's like a month now where, day after day or week after week, there's, either one or two police officers that have been, basically succumbed to death due to the fact that they were trying to do their job. Basically, they're called to a scene just recently in Innisfil, Ontario, in Simcoe County. Basically, they're called to a scene, domestic violence, and the shooter just basically went off. And then this problem has been happening. I mean, yesterday, even in British Columbia, an officer was basically helping the homeless, and she was attacked and she was killed. And so there has been a lot of attacks on law enforcement lately, and that is showing that the society that we're living in is becoming more gruesome. And the fact that people can just attack law enforcement, sometimes you're not going to agree with what is going on in society. And I really think that there's a lot of spiritual imbalance in society today, because there's many signs that are showing that people in general are getting tired of law enforcement, right? They're taking the laws into their own hands and they're making full attacks. Now, I am saying that you're not always going to agree with the laws, just like you're not always going to get your way. But the full out violence to take one's life should be always off the table. No matter how angry you get, you shouldn't take that into consideration. Because you see, if you believe in God, right, or even if you don't believe in God and you live in a society, you understand that you want to live, in a peaceful society where, violence is, minimal. Well, you don't want no violence, but we're human beings, so we're not perfect. These things do occur, but there's levels of violence, and violence should not go to the point where, one's life is basically taken away from them, because it's not only them, it's also your life as well, the individual, the suspect or whatever, as well as their whole families, the communities has drastically changed, right? So these things take place on a daily basis, and it's becoming like sort of a norm, because I mean, that never used to happen about 15 years ago, where in a span of a month and a half, about five police officers have basically been killed. This is not something that they died of natural birth, natural sickness. You know, they died due to violence activities from other civilians or other citizens where they're also trying to go and protect. Now, I want you to understand that in the spiritual realm, there's a heavy imbalance in the spiritual realm. which means that there's not enough people who are praying. There's not enough people who are believing. You know, it's hard sometimes to believe because you're faced with physical reality every single day, and spiritual reality could it differs from physical reality. So a lot of times the changes that in fact impacts society are physical reality, right? But spiritual reality is the blueprint of the physical reality. But if your mind is always set on physical reality, then the belief system, the faith system, right, fades away. And what we need to do as a society is grow spiritually. Because if we grow spiritually, then we will be able to intensify ourselves to overcome all these problems that is overtaking in society. There's so much drastic changes to the point that we are seeing it more rapid. Before it used to come one here, one at a time, one, every so often. But now it's happening in sequences, you know? It's almost like you have a tap and you turn it on, little by little, it drips here and there. But now the tap is turned on. And, there's much more drastic problems that are taking place. These things, right, cannot continue because in the society that we live in, if we're being impacted by, whether the type of neighborhood that we live in, you know, I mean, before we used to consider certain areas or certain cities to be very deemed as very safe, but now it's not so safe anymore, right? Because of all these, you know, drastic attacks, and they end in fatal. I mean, people want gun control, right? And gun control is something that, of course, you need. You need to be responsible for the actions that you pack, right? And if you need to be responsible, then there should be laws put in place. And this should not be something that, parties, whether it's going to cost them money or anything, because it's for our safety. It's just like healthcare. Healthcare should, be able to receive any amount of money in order to find diseases, like to cure diseases or to, help people. Gun control is something that is meant for to protect, because I mean, if anybody can get their hands on weapons that can, kill somebody, that should be under control, or we shouldn't have it. But we shouldn't have it is something that's it's not possible, right? In a world that we live in. But we should be disciplined, because that is all the type of trainings that we live by. We are disciplined. It's just like you can't, go and pick up somebody's like bike on their lawn just because they left it there on their property. You know what I mean? You have to understand that it's not yours, right? And we have discipline for that. Just like we respect other people's, opinions and understandings. So even if aggravates us or changes the way we view things, right? We still have to respect that. So if we grew up on respect and understanding and discipline, then everything that we do should be under those type of measures and rules. However, there's a lot of things that is showing that there's no discipline. There's so much changes, so much violence to, protectors of society. So pretty soon, what's going to happen? What if they strike? What if they say, there's too much violence and people are losing their lives that are supposed to be there to protect society, and we can't have that until there's drastic changes. Now, who's going to make those changes? The laws could be put in place, but the people have to actually do the work. The people actually have to put their foot down and say, no, this is what's right and this is not what's right. We can't say, well, we're for this or we're against this, because everybody is for peace, right? Whether whoever you are, whatever you believe in, you're for peace because you want to be able to do what you do in a peaceful way where it doesn't influence or impact somebody in a drastic negative way. So if everybody's agreeing that you want a peaceful life, nobody wants to live a life where they're not healthy, they're always sick, they're always tired, they're always, in problems. You want peace of mind, right? Because that helps you to elevate and grow your life. So if that's what human beings all generally want, then some of the rules that we have in place that is hindering us from growth, or is, you know, many don't agree, we should reevaluate those things and really change it to, better ourselves as people. Because if we don't, right, we end up having to hear bad news every single day, right? Bad news, not because they're human beings. People put on, uniform to go to work and stuff like that, but they're still human beings. They're just following a system for the time being, but they have lives, they have a family, they love, they care,